Welcome to Labster. In this mission, you'll work as an intern for a science magazine. The magazine editor is waiting for you in the meeting room. Enter the meeting room to speak to her and find out what you need to do. This simulation uses voiceovers. If you don't have audio, click the speaker symbol on the top right of your lab pad to switch the play mode. If you disable the sound effects, the lab pad will slide up whenever there are instructions to read. You can select what type of audio you prefer. Deselecting any of the options will mute that option. Click Continue to learn how to navigate through your mission. Using the lab pad is an important way to get the most out of this simulation. Is this the first time you are playing a Labster simulation? Perfect, then let's get started with your first mission.
Oh, hi, I'm glad you're here. I'm making some plans for the next edition of our magazine. The magazine is called Science Explained, and in it, we tell stories about the wonders of science. We have a section in Science Explained called Ask a Scientist. Every month, readers write to us with their science questions. We interview scientific experts to find out the answers and write them up. This is where I need your help. We received a letter with questions about DNA. Check it out.
Click on the letter to read it. Dear Science Explained, I've heard that DNA is like a code that makes me who I am. I just don't understand how it works. I have 3 questions. Where can DNA be found in my body? What is DNA made of? What is that DNA code? I hope you can help me.
I'm sending you to a DNA lab to learn from Dr. 1. Gather all the information you need to allow you to answer the reader's questions.
Welcome to the lab. I'm Dr. 1. I believe you are here to find out more about DNA. Well, you're in luck. I know a great deal about DNA, including that its full name is actually deoxyribonucleic acid, but that's quite a mouthful. We'll stick with DNA. All living things contain DNA, from microscopic bacteria to elephants. You can think of it as the instructions, or code, for building and maintaining any living organism, you included. Not me, though. I'm an artificial intelligence. I'm controlled by a different sort of code. Today, we'll focus on human DNA. Click on the floating screen to dive inside a cell. DNA is found in every human body cell with only a few exceptions, like some hair cells, which have no DNA. These are cells in the bloodstream of a human. Click on the highlighted white blood cell to take a closer look. Most of a cell's DNA is found within the large, membrane-bound organelle known as the nucleus. Click on the nucleus to see inside. Inside the nucleus are these X-shaped structures called chromosomes. There are 23 pairs of chromosomes in there. Click on the chromosome to unravel what's inside. Inside each chromosome, tightly packaged around protein molecules called histones, is a molecule of DNA. It is thousands of times thinner than a strand of hair. It resembles a ladder or railway track that has been twisted, don't you think? Here's a question for you. If you laid out all the DNA in your body end to end, approximately how far do you think it would stretch? This isn't a test, have a guess. That's correct. Pretty remarkable, right? If we take an even closer look, we can see that DNA is built from many smaller chemical components. Let's head back to the lab to learn about these components in more depth. Before we continue, let's check if you can answer the first question from the reader's letter. They wanted to know where DNA is. DNA is packaged in chromosomes, but in which organelle are chromosomes found in human cells? Spot on. DNA is found packaged in chromosomes in the nucleus of almost every cell. Move to the hollow table on the far side of the door. How about we construct a length of DNA from scratch? DNA consists of two chains of repeating units called nucleotides. I'll show you how to build a nucleotide from smaller molecules. I'll place 3 molecules on the hollow table: a phosphate group, sugar, and a base called adenine. Combine them, with the sugar molecule in the center, to build a nucleotide molecule. Build a nucleotide containing adenine. That's it. All nucleotides are identical except for their base. They can contain any one of 4. The nucleotide you built contains the base adenine, represented by the letter A. The 3 other bases that nucleotides can contain are called guanine, cytosine, and thymine, represented by G, C, and T. Build any other nucleotide of your choice. You could also have built this nucleotide. This would have been a valid answer too. I'll show you how different nucleotides are connected together. To make a strand of DNA, nucleotides are linked together in a row. The sugar of one links to the phosphate of another, forming what we call a sugar-phosphate backbone. You're now ready to answer the reader's second question. They wanted to know about what makes up DNA. DNA is made up of nucleotides. Which part of a nucleotide is variable? Exactly. All nucleotides have the same sugar and phosphate group, but their bases vary. We've just seen how a single strand of DNA is constructed, but remember that DNA is double-stranded. To connect 2 strands, complementary bases pair together. I've made a game to help you explore how bases pair. To master this game, all you need to remember are 2 golden rules. 1. Adenine pairs with thymine. 2. Guanine pairs with cytosine. If you try to pair them any other way, they won't fit. Good luck. Complete the tutorial to learn how to play. Nice work! You have completed the tutorial. It seems like you're ready to play for real. We'll start with the slowest mode. Awesome! You have completed the game. Too easy? Would you like to crank up the speed to a harder mode? In that game, you paired the bases to make double-stranded DNA. If we think of DNA as a ladder, the rungs are base pairs and the sides are sugar and phosphate. Isn't it beautiful? Until the 1950s, nobody knew that DNA was pieced together like this. Through huge international collaboration, they figured it out. This marked the beginning of a new era in biology. If you ask me, it's mind-blowing that such an elegantly simple molecule can provide us with the complexity of all living things. Let's check your understanding of how DNA is pieced together. If one strand of DNA has the bases GTCTA, which bases are on the opposite strand? 2 right. You're getting the hang of this. Now you know the structure of DNA. You might have heard people say that DNA contains, or is, a code. The reader's final question was about the meaning of the term DNA code. Head to the wall-mounted screen to explore what the DNA code is. On the screen is a section of double helical DNA. Let's take away one of the two strands. The order of base letters in a single strand is what we refer to as the DNA code or genetic code. Here, this code begins GGGCGT, and so on. The code is read 3 bases at a time. Some stretches of DNA, called genes, hold the code to make large molecules called proteins. One gene codes for one protein. In fact, your cells are busy making proteins right now. The cell interprets DNA's code to make a protein through a complex process called gene expression. There are 2 major steps, transcription and translation, each of which consists of intricate molecular interactions. For now, we'll focus on the big picture. The main things you need to know are: genes are read 3 bases at a time. A group of 3 bases codes for a molecule called an amino acid. Amino acids strung together in a specific order make a specific protein. In this final activity, your challenge is to read the code of a gene for yourself. Decode the DNA to reveal a secret hidden word made from amino acids. On the right-hand side is a reference key to help you translate the code. I'll show you how to work out the identity of the first amino acid in the chain. Step 1. Read the 3 letters in the DNA code. The first 3 letters here are GGG. Step 2. Use the table to find out which amino acid these 3 bases make. In this case, the table tells us that the code GGG makes the amino acid glycine. Step 3. Pick up the correct amino acid card. Go ahead and pick up the glycine. Step 4. Drop the amino acid into the chain. Correct. Now try to complete the rest of the amino acid chain on your own. Exactly. Awesome. Nice. Great work. Do you want to try decoding a longer word? You cracked the code. You made a very short amino acid chain. In reality, a protein is built from a chain of sometimes hundreds of amino acids, and this chain is twisted and folded into a specific 3D shape. Some proteins give the body structure, some attack invading microorganisms, others catalyze biochemical reactions. Proteins have so many varied and critical roles that they are sometimes called the workhorses of the cell, and all that work relies on the DNA code. Let's check if you know the answer to the final question from the reader. The reader asked, "What is meant by the DNA code?" Exactly. I guess being a great scientist is in your DNA. In 2003, scientists decoded the entire DNA code of an average person, otherwise known as the genome. It took thousands of scientists working together for 13 years, and cost billions of dollars. The genome is over 3 billion letters long. I'll read it to you. It's CGATCAA, just kidding. It would take a whole century to read, and I don't have time for that. The ability to read and analyze the genomes of living things has allowed us to make links between DNA and observable physical properties. Scientists can now find and target disease-causing genes, uncover evolutionary relationships, make more nutritious crops, and the list goes on. But none of this is straightforward. Living things' environments affect their traits in unexpected ways, and how each cell's machinery interacts with DNA is important too. Anyway, I could talk about DNA all day. I'll send you back to the meeting room to report to the magazine editor.
I have great news. Using the research you gathered from Dr. 1, the Ask a Scientist column was written and published. Take a look.
Click on the magazine to view it. Put the magazine down to continue.
The article has been part of our best-selling edition of the magazine yet. Thanks for your hard work in the lab. I'm impressed.
Let me ask you one last question. Do you feel like you gained relevant knowledge during this simulation? Thank you for your feedback. Your score has been saved together with your 100% progress. Congratulations, you have completed the simulation. We hope you enjoyed it and you feel wiser now.